Giridvaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajanaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jai Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, first of all, seeking blessings from the devotees who are here in the temple hall. His Grace Arjun Prabhu, His Grace Adi Purush Prabhu, especially seeking your blessings, and all the Vaishnavas who are joining us today online. So please bless me so I can share something that is uplifting and deepening for our devotional service. Today I did a shorter version of prayers because we are not reading directly from Srimad Bhagavatam. Instead, we will be discussing on the life and the teachings of Sripad Ramanujacharya, as it is his disappearance day. So, before we go into the lives and teachings of Sripad Ramanujacharya, I would like to know from devotees who are here and devotees who are joining online, have you heard about Ramanujacharya before? And if you have, then what other acharyas you have heard about? Like just the names. Is this muted, Adi Purush Prabhu?
Say that again. I don't know what.
No worries.
Madhvacharya?
Yes. Madhvacharya. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Krishnadaya Prabhu. Anybody else?
Shankaracharya.
Shankaracharya. Yes. Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya. Great. Any other Acharya? One more Acharya?
Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta, Kishore Das Babaji, Shobhak, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji.
Our whole spiritual lineage.
Yeah.
Yes. So, there is a shloka in the Bhagavad Gita which basically says, Yad yad acharati shreshthas tat tat evitaro janaha. So Krishna is saying in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So it is very important that we hear about these great personalities. So what is the meaning of Acharya? So Acharya word comes from the word achar. And this achar is not the Hindi word achar, which means pickle. That is achar. That pickle is achar. So achar basically means behavior. So one who sets perfect example of how one should behave, that is acharya, the great teacher. That's the most basic understanding of what acharya means. And we were hearing before Adi Purush Prabhu started saying the names of great teachers in our lineage. Srila Prabhupada's Guru, and so on and so forth. We were also hearing the names of other teachers from other lineages. And for that, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka in the 4th chapter which says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarashayo viduhu sakalenaha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. And he says, this spiritual science was thus received through a chain of disciplic succession. And the saintly kings understood it in that way. So this was received through chain of disciplic succession. So evam parampara. Parampara is the word here. Parampara means disciplic succession. So in the beginning of time, in this material world, or I should say, towards the beginning of creation, Lord Vishnu, he spoke the absolute truth to Lord Brahma. Lord Narayan spoke the absolute truth to Sri Lakshmi. He also spoke about pure devotional service, the absolute truth, to Rudra, that is Lord Shiva, and to the 4 Kumaras. And that was the beginning of the 4 sampradayas, Vaishnav sampradayas. In fact, Rupa Goswami says that unless one is initiated in one of these 4 sampradayas and receives shiksha from these unbroken lines, one cannot understand Krishna, one cannot understand devotional service. So it is very, very important that we are connected. It's the same thing as, when we go to school, we want to see whether this school is connected and is accredited. It's an authorized school or not. Not that it's just like anyone just opens a school and says, I'll give you a degree. We check that, when was this school established? What's the credibility? What's the authenticity? Who goes there? Who teaches there? Things like that. Same thing is in spiritual science also. So today we are hearing about Ramanujacharya, and it so happens that this year is the 1008th year of the appearance of Sripad Ramanujacharya. And Sripad Ramanujacharya is one of those teachers whose body is still intact. If you go to India, there is a temple, Srirangam temple, where you can actually go and take the darshan of the body. So generally in India, we have not seen that the bodies were preserved just like how they did in Egypt. But in this case, only for Sripad Ramanujacharya, his body was basically maintained and preserved. And only by applying 3 very simple ingredients, the body has been still kept and still being worshipped and maintained, and people go and take darshan. So who is this personality? So Ramanuja basically means, it comes from the word Rama. So Ram means yes, the word, same word which we chant in our Mahamantra every day, the same word, which basically means the reservoir of all pleasure, all joy. It can refer to Lord Ram. In our Mahamantra, the confidential meaning is that it refers to Radha Raman. So in this particular context, Lord Ram is referred. So Rama, Anuja, basically means younger brother. So one who is a younger brother of Lord Ram. Who is that? Lakshman. So Ramanuja is basically Lakshman himself. Anuja also means one who is a follower. One who follows in the footsteps of Lord Ram. That is Ramanuja. So he was named as such by a great saint because he was considered as an incarnation of Lakshman, who also happens to be Anantashesh. And also that how he followed in the footsteps of Lord Ram's teachings and established the path of surrender and devotional service to Vishnu and to Shri Krishna. So this was the meaning of the word Ramanuja. And then Acharya, I already explained what is the meaning of Acharya. So with that being said, I was thinking, what should I share about Ramanujacharya? And it is so much to share, right from his how he was born, how he spent his first 16 years in his small town, how he came in contact with his many gurus, and ultimately his guru Yamunacharya, how he takes up the mission of Yamunacharya, his teacher, and then basically establishes Vishisht Advait, which is qualified non-dualism. So there was Advait, that everything is one and everything is just Maya. That time Mayavad was also very prominent. So he basically comes and he basically changes that philosophical aspect and also establishes the worship of Vishnu, worship of Krishna everywhere, and then made thousands and thousands of devotees. And that's why in the age of Kali Yuga, when we think about these four sampradayas, so I told you that how these four sampradayas started. So the one which is started when Lord Narayan spoke to Lakshmi, and then all the people who followed Lakshmi, that sampradaya is known as Shri Sampradaya. So they have a big tilak, like white lines like a V, and then a red thing in the middle. That's the Shri Vaishnav tilak. So if you go to South India, you go to Tirupati or another big temple like Sri Rangam, as we are talking, you will see that majority of the people have that kind of tilak, like how we have our tilak, which is basically two straight lines and then a tulsi leaf. That is the Gaudiya, Brahma Gaudiya tilak. But that is the one which I am describing is Shri Vaishnav tilak. So he did a lot of contribution. So he established philosophy. He did a lot of social reform. He opened the temples to people who were before not allowed to enter the temples. He emphasized that how we all have a personal relationship with Krishna, and the way we can attain that get that personal relationship back, like we have forgotten about it, is through surrender, through prapatti. And then he also established how the Lord should be worshipped as Lakshmi and Narayan in the temples. So if you go, there is elaborate worship which happens in all these ancient temples in South India. And then he traveled all across India, spreading the devotional teachings. So I was again thinking that which pastime, what to share, like what will be the best way to utilize our time, as I think I only have maybe say 11 minutes with me before we open up. So first we have to understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took from the four sampradayas various principles. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they specifically have identified these 8 philosophical principles that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu synthesized into Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. That is the lineage which we are in. And what are these? So from Shri Sampradaya, that is Ramanuja's lineage. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that we take Dasya Bhakti and Sharanagati. So what is Dasya Bhakti? Dasya Bhakti means devotional service. And Sharanagati means surrender. So surrender to Krishna is the foundation of our bhakti. So that is first. So total surrender. And then devotional service, which is free from kama, free from material desires, and gyan, speculation. Bhakti is the means, bhakti is the goal. So that is what we received from Sri Sampradaya. That is devotional service, Dasya Bhakti, and surrender, Sharanagati. From Madhvacharya, the Sampradaya which we are already in, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stressed that these are the two very important principles that we really stick to. One, that Krishna is Swayam Bhagwan. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the second is refutation of Mayavad. We reject Mayavad. And we accept that Bhagavan, that is God, is distinct from Jiva. And we never merge. We are always two. From Rudra Sampradaya, which is basically the Sampradaya coming from Lord Shiva, who took knowledge from Lord Narayan. What two things we took? Raga Bhakti and divine grace. So spontaneous love for Krishna, which is not bound by any rules. So after we practice sadhana bhakti, it comes to a stage that we have that sentiment, that emotion that naturally flows towards Krishna. So raga bhakti, and then bhakti attained by grace. That how whatever we do in our bhakti, we are so dependent on grace. So divine grace is so much needed, the importance of grace. And from the fourth sampradaya, the Kumar sampradaya, the acharya of that sampradaya in this yuga was Nimbarkacharya. So the two things we took from that sampradaya is Radha Krishna worship and Madhurya Ras. So the highest form of devotion is to worship Radha and Krishna, and that's how we have our temples here. And Madhurya Ras. Madhurya Ras we consider as the highest form of relationship. Devotees aspire to serve Srimati Radharani in her service to Krishna. So these are the four sampradayas and the 8 teachings which basically we took. So Ramanujacharya from Sri Sampradaya is the main propounder of it. Madhvacharya in the Madhva Sampradaya. In Rudra Sampradaya we had Vishnu Swami, and then Kumar Sampradaya, Nimbarkacharya. And then, so these are some principles which we took, and it's good to remember them, that these are the core values. And now coming to surrender, it is such a deep subject. If you see actually in Bhagavad Gita, it's pretty much like the essence, like one of the last shlokas which Krishna basically gives us, that abandon all varieties of religion. Krishna is saying, Sarva Dharman, so Sarva means all, Dharman means Dharma. So all types of religion. Sarva Dharman Parityaja, abandon. Mam Ekam, Mam means I, Ekam means only one. Sharanam, that you take, surrender to me, just come to me. So Ramanujacharya, he basically said that there are 6 principles of surrender. And what are these 6 principles? First, and the first 2 actually are very, very important and stressed by us here in our practice many times. So what is the first one? Anukulasya Sankalpa, which basically means accepting everything favorable for devotional service. Then the second one is Pratikulasya Varjanam, which means rejecting everything unfavorable for devotional service. So 6 principle of surrender. The first one, accept everything favorable. Second one, reject everything unfavorable. Then the third one, Rakshishtati Vishwasaha. That means what? That means having firm faith that Lord will always protect me. So having that faith that Krishna has my back, Lord is the protector. That's the third principle. The fourth one, Goptatve Varnanam. Or in simple language, I'll say that Lord is the whole soul maintainer and guardian. That is the fourth principle. Fifth one, Atma Nikshepaha, which means complete surrender and offering oneself, like we offer ourselves to the Lord. That is the fifth principle. And the sixth one, Karpanyam, which means developing genuine humility and dependence on Lord's mercy. So I'll again repeat the 6. First is accepting everything which is favorable to devotional service. Second, rejecting everything which is unfavorable to devotional service. Third, having firm faith that Lord is the protector and he will always protect. Fourth thing, accepting Lord is the sole maintainer and provider and guardian. Fifth, having complete surrender to the Lord and offering oneself to the Lord. And sixth, developing genuine humility and dependence on Lord's mercy. So these are the 6 principles of surrender known as Shada, as we have Shada Goswami. So Shada, Vidha, Sharanagati. Sharanagati means, Vidha means principle, Sharanagati means surrender. 6 principles of surrender. So we have 5 minutes. And I would like to do 2 things. One is, let's try to see if we can find pastimes of great devotees from our scriptures or even real life as well, what we have known and heard and seen of people who have exhibited one of these principles. So the first one is Anukulasya Sankalpa, that we accept what is good for devotional service. We don't even have to, we can also use analogies. So it's open to everyone here in the temple hall and online. Any analogy or any devotee you remember who wholeheartedly accepted what was good for devotional service. And how can we do it in our daily life?
King Ambarish.
King Ambarish, yes, thank you, a great example. So he basically fully accepted and embraced and used all his daily routine, his body, for just doing devotional service of the Lord. And thank you for pointing out Ambarish. Because time is less, so I'll fasten up this. So how can we practice Anukulasya Sankalpa? How can we accept everything which is favorable? We can do it by regularly hearing Bhagavatam classes, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, by associating with devotees, by doing temple worship, deity worship at home, by reading scriptures, by serving devotees, by coming and rendering some service in the temple. So that is like accepting everything, just like Ambarish Maharaj. Thank you so much. Second one is Pratikulasya Varjanam, rejecting what is unfavorable. So any example of what that means in our day-to-day life, or any personality from scriptures or anyone we have read or heard about?
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj, yes. So he rejected. What did he reject?
Shukracharya, his guru.
Yes, he rejected his guru because it was not favorable for his devotional service. Very good classic example. How can we do it in our devotional life? First, avoiding offenses, aparads. Not only in our sampradaya, Prabhupada has spoken that one should be so wary of committing offenses to devotees. But Ramanujacharya also says one should not commit Vaishnava aparad, one should not offend devotees. Then renouncing excessive attachment to material pleasures. And I'm really saying it is more on the atishokti side, like the excessive side. We should be away from speculative philosophies. So we are rejecting. We should reject pride. We should reject hypocrisy. We should reject arguments which basically weaken our faith. So that is Pratikulasya Varjanam. The next principle is faith in Lord's protection. Any example from the scriptures?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, yes. Such a classic example. He had full faith in Lord's protection. Every time, whenever any problem came, he was just praying to the Lord and Lord protected him. Any other example?
Nobody.
Srila Prabhupada.
Queen Kunti.
Prabhupada, yes.
Queen Kunti.
Queen Kunti, yes. Srila Prabhupada, example. He's writing in his journal when he's coming via Jaladuta that I am in your protection, my dear Lord. And he writes also that how the Lord is protecting him and he's guiding him when he comes here. So Lord is not only protecting us physically, but he's also protecting us spiritually. Making sure that whatever happens in our life is for our ultimate welfare. And another example we can think is Gajendra. Gajendra is praying for protection of the Lord and then he's blessed. And another shloka in the Bhagavad Gita which basically comes is Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Ye jana paryupasate. To those who always worship me with devotion, I provide what they lack and preserve what they have. Next, let's go to the fourth principle. That is accepting the Lord as the only guardian and maintainer.
Gopis?
Gopis, yes, a very, very classic and very like the highest example we can see. And residents of Vrindavan also, when we see Govardhan Leela, the residents of Vrindavan, they totally forgot everything. They had full faith in Krishna and they are just below the Govardhan hill, accepting Krishna as their guardian and maintainer. So accepting this principle doesn't mean that, we neglect our duties and that we'll not do our part. But it is basically to acknowledge that success and sustenance is coming through Lord's mercy. And a surrendered devotee ultimately knows that ultimately everything is dependent on Krishna. So generally people feel secure that how much bank balance do I have? People depend on their intelligence or their skills. And they feel, oh, like say, for example, there is a comedian and say something happens to their voice. Comedian will be like, oh my God, I have to really protect my voice, or a singer. So their whole security is coming, is sense of security from the ability they have. But a devotee is fully surrendered, knows ultimately everything depends on Krishna and not anything external. So that was the fourth principle, accepting the Lord as the only guardian and maintainer. What's the fifth principle?
Atmanikshepa.
Atmanikshepa, offering oneself completely to the Lord. Any example?
Bali Maharaj again.
Bali Maharaj completely offers himself. Yes. One more personality, very famous personality. Who completely surrendered to the Lord and completely offered like oneself to the Lord.
Arjun. Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya.
Arjun, yes, 100%.
Draupadi.
Radharani.
Well, Radharani and Krishna are divine, so stick to
Draupadi.
Who's who?
Draupadi.
Yes, Draupadi. Draupadi surrendered completely to Krishna. She completely surrendered herself. She didn't care. She was not protecting herself when she was being disrobed. She was like, Krishna, I'm yours. And that's the whole meaning of why we raise our hands. We raise our hands in surrender. That Lord, I'm yours. So yes, thank you. And this is, Atmanikshepa is like the essence of devotional service or servitude, dasa bhav, that we are eternally the servant of the Lord. Let's go to the sixth principle, as I'm already over 3 minutes. Karpanyam. So what's that principle? The last
Humility.
Humility. Developing humility and dependence on Lord's mercy. So this is a place where, we really understand that humility in what sense? That I'm not the controller. And even for me to be able to make any progress in spiritual life, I need the grace of Guru. I need the grace of Krishna. That is the humility we're talking about. And the mercy of the Lord, that how by grace I can only take my next step. Like there was this great devotee, Kulashekara. He prays that I'm like a small bird who's caught in this great storm and I have no shelter just but you. The devotee also feels that, this whole ocean of nuisance is there. And unless I have your grace and mercy, it will not be converted into a calf's hoof print. Like it will not become insignificant. Otherwise, I'll just drown in this material life. The waves of this world of happiness and distress, successes and problems and troubles will just come and take me away. So a devotee is very dependent on Lord's grace. It's only the grace of the Lord and his devotees that can save us. So yeah, I think these are the six principles of prapatti. And today is the day that I would just say that we basically pray to Ramanujacharya that oh great Acharya, may I develop great devotion to Krishna. May I surrender to Krishna. May I develop humility and desire to serve others selflessly. And then may we get strength to uphold dharma, stick to our values, and then also spread bhakti, just like how Ramanujacharya spread bhakti everywhere. So this is something which we can really meditate or think about. And what to speak of Ramanujacharya? We don't have time, otherwise I had a story of a great disciple of Ramanujacharya whose name was Dasarathi. So looking at the lives even of the disciples, just by reading the glories of the disciples, you know the glory of the Guru. So Ramanujacharya is a great personality, but even the disciples, Quresh, Parashar, but Dasarathi, there are so many stories where we learned so much from them and how they lived as devotees. Great inspiration for all of us. So today maybe you guys can go online, go to YouTube, Google these people, Dasarathi or Quresh, and hear about them, hear about Ramanujacharya, and develop that mood of surrender and service. So with this, I conclude my small presentation of ideas, whatever I was able to think. And it's open for discussion. So any comments here? Any questions on what I shared? Any corrections?
So can I go, Prabhu?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
So it's really interesting. I find that and by the way, thank you for the wonderful class on the 6 limbs of surrender. Really beautiful. One interesting thing that I've always thought about is we talk about 6 limbs of surrender, and then within that, Atma Nikshepa, surrendering oneself is a limb. Like, okay, in the limbs of surrender, surrendering oneself is a limb. I mean, I can get the other 5 because they're very specific. But then it's something like saying that how do you practice bhakti? By practicing bhakti. So how do you surrender? One of the things in surrender is surrender. So do you think there is any subtleties going on here? Like, why is surrender being mentioned as a limb of surrender itself?
So Atma Nikshepa, if you go to like the real translation, it's a very good point. Thank you for pointing this out. It's more than surrender. Let's not use the word surrender. It's about offering oneself entirely in the hands of Lord. Just like how, a child is trusting its mother completely. So that is the mood here, that I trust. I am in the hands of the Lord. I'm offering myself to the Lord. So instead of taking Atma Nikshepa as just translated as surrender, think about, we offer various things, but this is a place where I offer myself. And when I'm offering myself, I'm giving that power to the Lord on account of my own free will, that I trust you. And then whatever I have, good or bad, is in your hands. So it's more about realizing that, we are ultimately in the servitor relationship. Like we are ultimately servants, and our existence is to provide pleasure to the Lord. It's basically to experience that. So Atma is basically self. Nikshepa means offering. So I'm offering myself. So instead of just saying I surrender everything, it's that particular aspect. And this is also a principle that's not easy. It takes leaps of faith to actually say that, I'm placing myself in your hands, my dear Lord. And the example of Draupadi was that Draupadi kept herself in the hands of the Lord. She was like, if I'm being disrobed, I'm being disrobed. If I'm being protected, I'm being protected. Krishna, you take full charge. So that's the idea here. I hope that basically gives more light to this.
Yes, thank you so much. It takes it so deep, actually, much deeper than, yeah. Thank you.
Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, you should offer Karuna Nimai to Krishna for Krishna's pleasure.
Sure, Anand Bihari Prabhu.
He's
Please.
already offering himself.
One shloka which is coming in my mind is I think first canto. I don't remember, maybe the third chapter. Ataha Pumbir Duja Shrestha, and the shloka ends with the word Sam Siddhir Haritoshina. And I somehow this shloka has really like left a deep mark in my heart, because I've heard my guru speak about this, and he says that our success in this path of bhakti is to the extent we please Krishna. And it is by the sincerity of our actions and the purity of our intentions. Both the things. And how can you do that? How is Krishna being pleased? So whatever we do it with honesty. We do it with humility. We do it with sincerity. But ultimately, that devotional aspect, like I'm yours, Krishna. And to please Krishna the most, what can we give? We can just give ourselves. And that's the mood of Bali Maharaj also. So Bali Maharaj, so here we have Atma Nikshepa, and there we have Atma Nivedanam. As Srila Prabhupada writes in his books many times, that Bali Maharaj offered himself. So the essence, I think, related to Atma Nikshepa, Atma Nivedanam, comes to this shloka, Sam Siddhir Haritoshanam, that it's about the pleasure of the Lord. That's why I'm offering. It's not about surrender here. It's about me offering myself. I'll stop yapping now.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Venu Madhuri has her hand up. Venu
Hare
Madhuri.
Krishna. Yeah, just following up on Jagannath Gopal Prabhu's point. Is it, so thinking of the Atma in that, it's not just, is it too extreme to think it's like being willing to give up your life? Meaning like to die even, or is that too extreme? And not just to die like your body, but to actually give up your individual existence as a soul, like that far? Or is that kind of not the extremity that's being suggested by that?
Okay, so
like Draupadi she was basically giving up her pride and standing in society, but is it even more than that? Is it being willing to give up your life, and not just your bodily existence, but your actual spiritual existence, like to be extinguished as a spark if necessary?
First of all, thank you for asking this question. It's a very deep question. First of all, a disclaimer. Whatever I say now has to be practiced in guidance with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So please remember this first thing, that any kind of extremities which we try to do, which we feel that we have been called upon, it's always good to check with Guru, check with Sadhu, and check with the scriptures before we take any step, which is something off whatever we do normally and regularly. Now, coming to your question, in Sri Rangam, there were many invasions who came from far off countries, and they came to the temple, and it is said that devotees, they were so protective of the Lord that there were the whole Sri Rangam temple was divided into two groups. So so when the invasion happened, all the ladies and the kids and the old, they were already like transported, but somehow they were not able to move the deities, and they have a vimana, which is basically like a how should I explain this? If you can imagine, like in the Old Testament, we hear about the covenant being carried in a palanquin with like wings and all sorts of things, right? So similarly, in Sri Rangam, they say there is a golden vimana. Vimana means like an airplane. How the deity basically came from Vaikuntha, and it was not man-made. It didn't appear here. It came from Vaikuntha directly. So the devotees wanted to take that whole structure of that gold thing and the Lord itself who was inside it. And it was taking time. So two group of devotees. One group will make sure that the invaders come here and the Lord should be gone. Second group, we would just be body shields. And they were ready to die. And that day, 12,000 Vaishnavas died actually in Sri Rangam temple itself. So that, it takes time for the invaders to come to the temple. Now, it's an extreme step, but the Acharya, the Guru, and all the people, they all decided it together. So they did it. And then there was a second group who were successful, but everything was so heavy, they were not able to go far. So what they did, they would dug deep, and 2 devotees will go down with the Lord, and then they would be buried, because Lord cannot be without servants. And they did this for many, many decades. So saying to your thing, so have devotees done this? They have given their lives. And that was an act of surrender. And yes, here Atma Nikshepa. So that has happened. But again, it was under an extreme situation where the Lord was to be protected and the Guru was asking them to do this. So yes, so that is one thing. Now the second thing is about spiritual, that merging in the Lord. So that the Lord himself says, and our acharyas have said that never pleases the Lord. So we never say that we want to merge in the Lord, because that will give pleasure. Lord will have the most pleasure when we have that personal relationship with the Lord. I could explain more, but I'll just say in the essence that the teachings of Ramanujacharya, especially Madhvacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, basically explain on this particular aspect why that's something which we never do, and that will never be pleasing to the Lord. I hope I answered you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu ki jai. Did you get the video of Yoga Day? No. You sent it to Sundar.
Venu Madhuri, don't merge yet. You just got initiated a few days ago, please.
I heard you have a meeting with Sundar now.
Obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified. Attachment to the lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart. He is my Lord, word after word. Static words is destroyed. Daily scriptures speak of his character. My spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, welcome to the Afterglow, dear devotees. All right. Would anyone like to speak? Any reflections, questions? Jagannath Gopal Prabhu has all the answers. He's here with us. Okay, Scarlett.
Hare Krishna, and thank you very, very much for today. I don't know if I have read it right or wrong, but I just wonder, is it true that it was attempt on Ramanuja, oh, I have to forget his name. Ramanuja life by his guru. His guru was named, I believe, as I said, I don't know if it's right. Yadava was his guru, and he was attempted to take Ramanuja's life. Is it true, or is it wrong, what I read?
And where did you read this, Scarlett?
I'm so sorry, I don't remember where I read it, but I know I have read something like that about him. I don't remember where. It was last year. I read it last year. Not this year. Last year I read it. I don't remember where I read it, but I know I read it something like that.
Thank you, Scarlett. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu is looking it up, it seems like.
Yeah, I knew that somebody tried to kill Ramanuja, and yes, it was the head priest apparently of that Ranganatha Swami temple. It says, no, how can he be the head priest? It says he was an Advaitin. His name was Yadava Prakash, as Mataji mentioned. So yes, there was an attempt on his life, but it's
Thank you.
It's unfortunate that even in spiritual circles this happens. Shouldn't go there, but it does happen. Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Smartha Brahmanas, the Orthodox Brahmanas tried to kill him because he was such a scholarly person and so genuine, so authentic to the spirit of the scriptures, that he was preaching that this Brahmanism is not by birth, it is something you achieve by qualification. Now that meant stop the seizing of all income for these smartha brahmanas, who were traditionally brahmanas from generation to generation, although a lot of them did not have the qualities of being a brahmana. But then now that Bhakti Siddhanta, this guy is preaching so fiercely about this, it meant that it was a threat to their income, their financial wealth and whatnot. So yeah, there was an attempt.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's all envy, insecurity. Yeah, cool. Yeah, going back to humility. No, surrender. Yeah, I once asked Ganesham Prabhu about another devotee with whom I was supposed to be engaged in the same project, and I asked Ganesham Prabhu, should I go ahead with this? Is this devotee okay? Can he be trusted? And Ganesham Prabhu answered in a very interesting way. He said, he's a surrendered soul. you can go ahead. He's surrendered. I was like, is that a criteria? Is that how you kind of look at devotees, surrendered or not? So yeah, that's an interesting way to look at ourselves too. Because if you are surrendered, if you're truly surrendered, then you're kind of invincible. If you're surrendered and something difficult is coming up, then you are praying to Krishna. Krishna, I'm willing to. If you want me to take this risk for you, I'll go ahead. I'll handle this. That's a surrendered thinking, and you won't chicken out. You won't retreat. You'll go ahead. And then when something comes that somebody's treating you harshly, a surrendered devotee will think, all right, this is from my purification. I must have done something 43 lifetimes ago. I must have offended this soul, and I own it. So let me move on. Let me own it and move on. So surrendered, either way you go, you benefit spiritually. You uplift yourself if you're surrendered, and you become invincible. Just little 5 cents. Scarlett, your hand is up. Is that a sign of
Yes,
surrender?
yes, about surrender. Is always the person who take initiation who is at surrender, or you could be surrender even though that you are not initiated?
Okay, let's see. Venumadri. So you just got initiated. Did you feel surrendered before? Do you feel more surrendered now that you're initiated? Where is Venumadri? She would be the right person to answer this question. Last call for Venumadri. Okay, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, please answer. Followed by Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Surrender, I mean, what I have heard is surrender is irrespective of any of these external formalities. Initiation is a formality. In one sense, the process, the ceremony of initiation is a formality, but my Guru Maharaj says that real initiation happens when we surrender our hearts to the Guru. So yes, surrender does not necessitate initiation, but at the same time, initiation is an important expression of that surrender, because we make vows of dedication, we make vows of that we plan to follow for the rest of our lives. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I let other devotees add who are more qualified than me.
Thank you very much.
Krishna Chandra Prabhu. Unmute, please.
Hare Krishna. So, I think I can remember I was initiated about 23 years ago, and was actually the anniversary just passed like a week ago. And I just remember feeling a lot of joy because I was drawn to my spiritual master the moment I saw him. And for a whole year I was just in some kind of, I don't want to say ecstasy because that's so elevated, but I just, for some reason, that's what pops in my head. But I feel that the sense of surrender did not come for many years. I mean, I don't feel particularly surrendered either, but I aspire to surrender. I'm in a like a kind of stage in my life where I really do want to, do his what he wanted me to do, and to develop myself spiritually. I mean, it took me over 20 years to cultivate that desire, but that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Krishna Chandra Prabhu. A very important point. A devotee will never claim that I am surrendered. Will never claim like that. We always aspire to be surrendered. Thank you. Very valuable contribution. So yeah, can you love without getting married or something? That's the same question. It's initiation just formalizes something that is already being cultivated. Srila Prabhupada, before he got formally initiated by his guru, he was pushing on Lord Chaitanya's movement very hard. Was he surrendered? Yes, for sure. And can you act in not such a surrendered way, even being initiated? Yes. So it's all very subtle. And it takes sincerity and guidance too. to navigate through those things. But the principle is yes, yeah, there's no impediment, like Jagannath Gopal said. There's no impediment. You can be surrendered today. Hare Krishna. Gregory, how are you doing? Where are you heading? Food distribution? Unmute, you are muted.
Sorry, hard to come off mute. I'm actually here to do service today. I'm here at the Interfaith.
Nice.
Maybe I'll see
Gregory's
you
here
later.
to do service. He's here to serve. How beautiful. How wonderful is Gregory that he's here to
Thank you.
serve. That's the mood. That's the attitude. Thank you, Gregory, for
I
your
appreciate it. Thank
example.
you.
Okay, so with this, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for your association, dear devotees. You're all surrendered souls. We love you. We need you. We learn from you. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. And happy Friday. Happy Friday, Hare Krishna.